Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. I'm your host, Sala Bonava, and the topic that I want to talk to you today about is emotional drainage, energy drainage or emotional drainage, whichever the way you resonate more with. And the reason why I want to talk about it is that this is one of the main reasons why many of humanitarians want to leave the humanitarian sector or they feel like they can't really do anything about the goals that they want, the transition they want to make because they feel drained and they have no time for doing the work necessary or getting ready for the transitioning. And that's why they just feel like stuck where they are. So therefore, I wanted to talk to you today about what it is, the energy drainage that I'm going to talk about, and I will give you several examples, and then why it's important that we talk about it, and then what to do about it. And of course, in the what to do about it, I also want you to recognize and see where in your own life that you are draining your energy or you are being the person who drains someone else's energy, right? So this is what we want to talk about. So let's start from the beginning of what it is that I'm talking about, and I want to give you examples of it because it's very hard to pinpoint exactly how it looks like or what it is, but the way that it feels like as if your energy evaporated, right? So let's imagine you're going to work and you're thinking, great, today will be a great day and I will do this XYZ things. And then you go to work and then you meet your colleague in the corridor. And then that colleague starts complaining and saying all the things of how everything is bad and exacerbated and all of this, and then you take over all of this energy from that person, and then you come to your desk and you're like, oh, I had a great intentions to start the day, but now everything is ruined kind of place, right? And the example that I want to give you from my from my client that I was coaching yesterday, and in her case, she was saying that so she works remotely most of the time, and then she went to the office where her colleagues are, and then as she went to the cafeteria to hang out and get coffee and all of these things, and then she met a lot of her colleagues, and then they all started talking about the event that they're all going to do, and then they were saying how bad this event is going to be, how this is going to fail, and this is not the right time to do this. Who was even thinking about doing this? Why organize something when no one is wanting this and no one is prepared? And then all of this negativity, she says that came to her like a tsunami. And then after like absorbing all of this and then going to her hotel room and then feeling like drained, right? Feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to like be part of anything. I just want to just go under my sheet and then just not do anything. Or I want to just like scroll the social media or watch Netflix and then just feel like drained on the couch and do nothing, right? So this is how emotional or energy draining situation looks like. And I'm assuming you can relate to this and you have experience of this as well in your own life. Now, why do we need to talk about this? It is the main part that I want you to get your attention to, is because we often believe that when our energy is drained, there is nothing we can do about it. We believe that this is just how it is. And then we resort to the solution that we believe is a solution, which is just do nothing or scroll or just do the minor task if we're at work and just survive until we're home and then just do nothing. This is how our brain wants us to find a solution, which is not a solution. The reason why it's not a solution is that when we keep doing this, right? When we keep doing nothing afterwards, when we keep just sitting on the couch and do nothing, or scrolling the social media, or just doing minor tasks and not really working on the major things that we want to work, what we end up doing is we end up giving so much power to that person in their emotional state and let their emotional state affect us so much. Right, that's the biggest thing that I want you to see is that when we are just allowing other people's negative energy coming over to us, we're just absorbing it like a sponge, and then we're just not doing anything about it. And then we let them dictate how our day is going to be. We let them dictate how our work experience is going to be. We let them dictate how our experience of whether we like our job or not, our experience of whether we like our manager or not, right? Whatever it is that we just let them decide for us with their energy, with their negativity as to how we experience that day, excuse me, or that person or whoever. And that we cannot allow that to happen simply because we want to make decisions for ourselves. We want to be in charge of our energy. We want to be in charge of how we are spending our day, how we're working on things, how our experience of work is. Excuse me. That's what we want to be in charge of, right? We don't want other people and their energy take over and then decide for us what is good for us and what is not, and what we like and what we don't like. We don't want that, I'm assuming. The other reason why it's important that we understand and do something or find effective ways to restore our energy is because we want to learn how to protect our energy. We want to filter what goes inside us and what doesn't go inside us. And we want to also be in charge of how we want to distribute our energy to whatever we want to, instead of just going under the influence of group of people or even one person and their energy, and that um, overcrowding or clouding everything else, right? And I want to also like look at my notes of how are the things, some of the notes that I have taken is that basically we want to be the person who are in charge of our energy, and we are also the person who decides whether our energy gets drained or not. And if it does, then how? This is all, we are in charge of it. We are responsible for it. And as long as we don't see this way, as long as we don't believe that we can do that, we can be in charge of our energy, we can be in charge of how to filter it, how to allow other people's energies or other people's emotions affect us or not. As long as we understand how to distribute our energy, then we can also be in charge of whatever we want to do, whatever things we want to do outside of work, how we want to spend our day, how we want to spend our experience at work. All of this will start depending on us instead of just letting everyone else wash us out in with their own emotions and in their own energy coming over to us, right? So that's why I really want every one of us to think about what are the ways that we are observing that our energy is being drained, right? What are the circumstances or what are the situations where we observe that our energy being drained? And the reason why we want to know that also is because we then also stop doing those behaviors if we understand that as a person on the receiving end, if we are our energy is being drained, then we start being careful as to not to drain other people's energy as well, right? So that's why we want to know what situations that create this energy drainage, and we want to also know why that is, and then what to do about it, right? So think about what are the situations that you have observed where you feel like your energy has been just drained, evaporated, and disappeared, and you were just in good mood. Now you're just like, well, whatever, I don't care, right? what situations do you feel where this has happened? And here are the examples that I have seen from my clients, from my own experience, where this happens, and then I will explain why that happens. So the situations where our energy gets drained very fast is when we see someone who keeps complaining, who keeps venting, who keeps blaming, who keeps talking about the same problems over and over again, and we just feel like we're observing and we're not really participating, then our energy is going to get drained very fast, right? And the if we are participating, meaning if we're complaining and if we're venting and all of this, we may also feel like good in the moment, but then we have the energy drained afterwards as well, right? So therefore, complaining, whining, or blaming, these are the activities or actions that we take that tend to drain a lot because we spend a lot of energy in listening to them, or the person who is talking about it takes up a lot of energy talking about this, describing it, and therefore as if like they take up all of our energy for their purpose, right? So that's the most usual way how um, we get drained. Another way that we feel like we're drained is when we see people who feel like they are in a stuck mode. They don't really like, they feel like there is no point in anything. Why bother? And then feeling in this space. And then us seeing that, or us being next to them and then taking all over their emotional odors or whatever the way you call it, right? And then we feel drained as well. Another big group of people that we may have the drainage or experiencing feeling drainage is when people start, when they feel so much in resistance, they feel so much in conflict within themselves, they feel so much in denial, meaning that we say something and then they're like, no, 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 that's not it. That's not what I'm saying. And then they start contradicting themselves, and then they feel like so in their own battle. And then we as observers or as people on the receiving end talking to them, we may have this drainage as well. And then the other people who are who might be also in situations where they keep feeling like they're battling something, or they keep going against something, they keep fighting with other people, or they keep having conflicts openly or closely or subtly, right? And then we keep observing them. That may also have our energy drained. Now, when we see these behaviors, we can also see that, okay, if these are the type of behaviors that create the reaction in others of their energy being drained, right? Then we also recognize, okay, those are the things that I don't want to be doing anymore, because I also don't want to be the person who drains someone else's energy, right? And that's the revelation I had when I started realizing how much I used to complain and how much I used to pity myself, how much I used to whine about my life. And then when I started observing how when I talk to other people who do that, I started realizing, oh my God, I realize now that when I do this to others, how much their energy probably is so drained. And of course, they would never tell that to me. And therefore, once I realized that, then I started also thinking, okay, I don't want to be doing that any longer. I don't want to be the person who drains other people's energies, right? I want to be the person who fuels other people's energy, or who contributes to fueling energy and to uh, having the thriving conversations and thriving relationships, instead of this uh kind of very like low and what's the point kind of energy, right? So once you recognize this, then we want to understand what to do about this, right? So let's say that we have recognized what are the behaviors that we observe where our energy is being drained, or what are the behaviors that we have done and we believe this may drain someone else's energy. And once we started realizing and recognizing it, then we want to also understand why that is, right? Why it takes, or it's an energy draining activity when someone complains or when someone whines, or the same goes for us, right? If we complain and whine, why this would drain someone else's energy if they're not taking part actively in it. And here are the explanations that I have found for myself is that when I am in the conversation with someone who is doing this, who's complaining or who's feeling like so much in battle with themselves or in denial with themselves, I have observed myself just my energy drain, because I think keep being observer of the situation without being able to do anything about it creates this helplessness feeling, right? And that helplessness feeling seems like some of the main ways that we just feel drained. Another feeling that makes us drained is powerlessness, right? So helplessness, powerlessness, these are the common feelings that just makes us feel like, oh, I don't want to do anything. Or when we don't see the point of either discussing this, we don't see the point of continuing this conversation, but just we keep doing it, excuse me, because we want to be polite or we want to be supportive. But at the same time, we understand that even though we want to be supportive and keep listening to them, we just take up a lot of our own energy to actively listening to them, but at the same time not being able to do anything about it, and just drains our energy, right? Now then, what to do about this is the part that I really want to focus on now. Is if we keep um, continuing this conversation of um, just being supportive, let's say, just being supportive and not do anything, then we will just keep being drained and not being able to do anything about it. So therefore, the first thing that you could think about is when you are in the conversation with someone, and let's say that in the conversation someone is complaining or feeling pity or denial, whatever it is that's going on for them, what we could do instead of just keep actively listening to them, we could also try to direct the conversation to them, to the solutions, right? So some of the ways that it could look like is that I could say, I so hear you what you're saying, especially about the problems that you are pointing out that we need to work on in the team or in the organization, whatever it is. But I know that I used to do this a lot as well, but then I realized that I get so tired of just keep criticizing or keep saying things without ever doing anything. Therefore, I was thinking, what do you think we could do to change it, right? What do you think you and I could do to change it? You see, when we direct the conversation, instead of just being on the receiving end and not doing anything about it, then we feel like then we're going somewhere. And when we're going somewhere, our energy is not drained, right? Because our energy is in fact fueled more as to, okay, we can do something. We want to do something about it instead of just holding on to that powerlessness feeling. So therefore, when that happens, the conversation that you observe with a friend, with a colleague, with a supervisor, whoever it is, then gently going to, okay, I hear you, I've understand, and it must be very difficult. But what do you think we could do about it? So let's think about something, right? Let's find a way to do something about it, because we just can't continue talking about it without doing something about it. So what do you think that is the best solution, or that the best way to go forward and move forward? Otherwise, we'll just go home and feeling drained and not being able to do anything about it, right? So that could be one way that you could direct the conversation, where you then feel also not drained and possibly the other person as well. The other way that you could stop from feeling drained is learning to filter the emotions, the effects of their emotion coming to us, right? Other people's emotions we can feel without even um, knowing specifically what is it they're feeling, but we are humans so tuned to feel other people's emotions, especially if they're very strong emotions, right? So frustration, disappointment, anger, hatred, all of these are very strong emotions. And when the other person feels them, especially if they keep feeling them, then we're likely to feel that as well. But in order to not to let that affect us so much, we also have the ability to not let through this filter that we have. We don't need to allow it to enter. It's a bit like in the car. Imagine you are driving a car and then you let the car, enter the natural air from the filters, and then you see in front of you there is a big truck with a very smoky motor, and then you see the smoke, and then you close the filter, right? As soon as you close it, it doesn't allow anything in. And that's the same idea with our own inner world, is that we don't need to allow all of that emotional smoke coming into us if we don't want to. So we have an ability to filter it or to stop this from entering us. And the third way that we can do is we can, even if let's say we have allowed the center, we don't really know how to use our filters yet, right? And therefore we just allow this to enter. By the way that you allow, create this filter is stop judging them. Stop judging them, stop judging yourself. As soon as you remove the judgment, the filter is installed, so to say. Filter is active. As soon as we judge or we're like part of that conversation or we're just like on board with them, then the emotional smoke is getting inside us. Now let's imagine that the smoke is getting inside us, and I'm just using an analogy, obviously, right? And when we notice that a lot of this negative emotions, especially that are now inside us, then we also often believe that we can't really do anything about it. Instead of, we need to learn how to restore our energy. Because as long as we don't learn how to restore our energy, we'll just feel like our whole day is wasted, or we feel like our evening is wasted. We feel like we don't really want to do anything. We don't spend that time with our families. Therefore, we want to learn how to restore our energy. Excuse me. And the best way how to do that is by going inwards. So I will demonstrate this to you now, and I really hope that you will do this at home and practice this for yourself. So the way that I do it is, so if you meditate, then you can meditate and restore your energy, and that's amazing for those meditating. The way that I meditate is I like when I'm breathing in and meditating, I imagine my inside where the part of the uterus where the energy is, where the restorative and the rest, restoratory restoring anyway energy, and I imagine that energy coming up and washing all of myself with that clean energy and then getting rid of all the smoke energy. That's how I imagine doing the meditation. But if you are someone who does not meditate, then here is the very simple technique that you can do, which is closing your eyes and making this inward breathing, and then you just keep observing inside of your world, as if to say, inside of what's going on, and you just keep breathing in and breathing out and observing what's happening. And as soon as you do this for 10 minutes or maybe 20 minutes, then you are restored. And it's the most effective method that I have applied every time in my life, every day, in fact, that I do it. I do meditation, but if you're someone who does not really know or feels complicated about the meditation, then This is the simple way that you can restore your energy. And the way that you can even notice it when you have restored it, you feel energized again. You feel like clean. The way that it feels in my body is it feels clean. It feels like I have removed all the unnecessary emotions from my body, and I have now a clean body to operate from and dedicate my time and attention to other things instead of scrolling or watching Netflix or doing things that just I'm doing it for the sake of doing it, right? So these are the ways that you can not only be in charge of your own emotions and energy, but also how to protect your energy and how to restore your energy so that you are not subject or you are not victim of someone else's emotional drama or someone else's emotional weather, and you don't let them dictate how your day and how your work experience is going to be. Instead, you are in charge of how to do that. So, my dears, if you would like to work on this and you would like to get your transitioning going so that you are in charge of your own energy and you're in charge of your own impact, you're in charge of your life and how you do things and how you live your life, then absolutely come coach with me. I would love to help you get you so good at managing your energy, never letting it drain by others or yourself. Then I think you should absolutely come coach with me. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week. Talk to you very soon.